Yeah, I wanted to go back to the issue of creation, where this is where Panditji is saying that we disagree on the importance of creation. But my point is that this is how we get to know God. If we disregard the concept or the very existence of creation or its importance, let's say, to use a better term, if we disregard creation's importance, then the concept of Tawheed, oneness of the creator, itself is compromised. This is where Hindus ended up into polytheism. They started worshipping different gods, different deities, albeit minor deities, right? um, when Hindus went into polytheism, this was possibly due to the lack of appreciation of God's oneness, his oneness as being, as the creator. And we can only see him as one when we look at the how can I put it, the unity of idea in his creation. When you see that there is only one creator through the creation, because when we see the design, the plan, and when we look at everything around us, we see that this is all uniform. It is all uniform, right? So when we see this uniformity, it points to one creator. And possibly, I mean, I'm just assuming, if Hindus, generally speaking, if they ignored the importance of the creation as a sign of the creator, then maybe this is where they went astray into worshipping different deities and ignored the ultimate God, the ultimate creator, the Brahma, you know,
Brahman,
to use the Hindu,
Brahman,
to
yeah.
use,
Yeah.
yeah,
Brahman, Brahma.
yeah, yeah,
Brahman is the
So, so I
Brahma
think
is
at
the
this point
incarnation, right?
it would be nice for Pandit Rami to explain the manifestations of this one into many. Why is this perception? I mean, as far as I know, Gita has very interesting state on this, how the people of less aptitude or knowledge, or the fools rather, they're the ones who would go and focus on these idols and so on. So not the knowledgeable ones. I can't remember the exact shloka of the Gita, but please explain to us, I mean, how do you have this multiplicity of understanding of deities or demigods or demigods, and what exactly are they? I mean, people have a perception. I just want to clarify this question to the audience. People have a perception that Hinduism is worshipping of many gods, whether it's Lakshmi, Saraswati, Parvati, Indra, Agni, Shiva. You have it, Ganesh. What exactly are they? Are they separately divine beings? Are they deities in a multiplicity of deities? Please explain to us.
Okay, so in the principle of the universe, we see that there's multiplicity within unity. So if you take the example of the body again, the body consists of trillions and billions of cells and different systems, and they all work together to create one. So we are one as a person, but within ourselves, we have a multiplicity. So likewise, in the universe, you have a single universe, single cosmos, but there are multiple systems within that cosmos. So if you talk about the unity of God, absolutely agree, God is a unity, but within that unity, there is a multiplicity. Again, this is from our perspective as pan-entheists. We are looking at it. Now, I understand that the Islamic perspective is different, but we're doing the demystifying of Hinduism here.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. Go ahead.
focus on
No,
what
go ahead.
the Hindu position is. So when we talk about the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, G, generator, O, operator, D, dissolution. So we see that the whole universe is not, as again, addressing Brother Adnan's issue with creation. We don't believe the world is a creation. It is rather a process. And this is a very, very important distinction to make. So Brahma, when you're driving a car, you have acceleration, you've got speed control, and you've got braking. These are not different things. These are all part of the same process of driving. If you take the human body, for example, you've got three forces: metabolism, catabolism, anabolism. All of these are different functions, but they are one single process. So like that, Brahma is the creative energy of the cosmos. Vishnu is the conservative energy of the cosmos. Shiva is the transformative and recreative energy of the cosmos. So these are three aspects of the one Brahman, the unknown, unknowable, inconceivable, absolute essence, has these three processes within it. And so we see in the universe as well, planets come into being, galaxies come into being, they exist, they disappear, and they're reborn. So this is all part of that cyclic vision of the process. So all these deities that we have are not separate individual beings, sky guys living in the sky, floating on the clouds. They're all aspects of our inner consciousness. And the way that we pass these is when you take the name. Say, take Saraswati, for example. Saraswati is a principle of knowledge. Saraswati means that which flows. And so her icon, all the icons that you see that you call idols, we call icons, are our graphical user interfaces. So the computer consists of ones and zeros. I can't relate to that. My computer screen consists of icons. I click on an icon and a program opens. And likewise, when you click on these icons of the Hindu deities, they have a whole program behind them that is not recognized. So when you talk about polytheism or, idolatry, you look at a screen, an ignorant person looks at a screen, sees all these icons and says, what is this? But all these icons are relating back to the ones and zeros. It's the way that we interact with the world, the way we interact with life and the universe. Hindu mythology, actually all religions have mythologies, not only Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Jew, all have your mythology, but you don't call it mythology.
Exactly. We don't call it mythology. Exactly.
Mythology is the content of the collective unconscious. So any story about gods and demons and heaven and hell and all of this is all about the unconscious mind that is coming through. And we give it forms, nama and rupa. We give it names and forms, and we do create stories and all that kind of thing. So all of this is just merely ways in which we can better understand the ultimate reality. So all these forms, the names and forms are temporary, and the spiritual aspirant who is striving for God realization needs to go beyond all of this and go within.
So Panditji, I have a question. A lot of things you have said are very similar to how the Arabs, pre-Islamic Arabs, were arguing with the Prophet when the Prophet was telling them about the ultimate God, the Creator, the Sustainer, right? Whom they called Allah. And when he was talking about the ultimate deity, which is Allah, and when he was basically criticizing their worship of, let's say, lesser gods, whom they had made up for themselves, he was saying that you are actually ignoring and neglecting the very Creator, the very God who created all of us, and you're worshiping these idols and these deities you have made up at his expense. So can we not say that about Hinduism, where all of these different idols and deities are being worshipped at the expense of the Brahman? Okay, the ultimate. So are we not? Okay.
Krishna says
if we are worshipping a part, are we worshipping the full, the complete? We're not, are we?
Okay, let me explain. So in the Gita, when Krishna says those of lesser intellect are attached to the worship of the devatas, what he's saying is that if you understand the unity of the whole and you worship a part, and you understand that this part is a part of the whole, then there's no problem. It's when you start seeing these things as different gods, different perspectives that are separate, and then that is a problem. Now, coming back to your point, worship is from an individual to the ultimate. The ultimate, we already said, is all-knowing. So whatever we worship, thinking of the Almighty knows that we are worshiping that alone. So there's no need for me to justify, oh God, I'm worshiping you, I'm not worshiping this, because God knows exactly what I'm worshiping. Now, from an external point of view, when I watch Hajj, I see Muslims are bowing to the Kaaba. Now, I know as an intellectual person that you are not bowing to the Kaaba itself, the cube, but rather to Allah. That's a focal point. So in exactly the same way, we use different idols, different icons to connect with that. But when we are bowing to those icons, making offerings to those icons, we are making it to the ultimate Brahman.
But
And
I'm sorry,
knows that. So
there is no
again.
But I'm sorry, there is no comparison between the Hindu worship of idols and deities and Muslims bowing to Kaaba, because Muslims do not attribute personalities or will or even power to change things, let's say, to the Kaaba. We don't attribute those things. Kaaba is simply a spot that we all face to worship God, Allah, right? We're not actually bowing to Kaaba hoping things will happen from the Kaaba. Hindus, on the other hand, are bowing or worshipping idols, hoping for rewards, hoping for blessings, and all sorts of things, for example. And these gods have personalities. They have wills, right? That may clash with the will of another deity or personality, right?
Brother,
we don't have.
You are looking at it from a Disneyland perspective, a completely Disneyland perspective. Yes,
okay.
I know all these arguments, but I'm a Hindu priest. I worship different deities. I am fully immersed in idol worship. I'm teaching people how to worship idols. If you want to use that, we don't like that term idolatry. It's iconolatry. It is the veneration of icons. And I explain to people that this is what the icon represents. And again, you have to understand this. See, there's a lot of complex psychological considerations behind this.
But Panditji, do you see the difference? Oh, yeah, of course. But do you see the difference between the Kaaba and, let's say, Hanuman? Do you see the difference?
Do you know what is the difference between the Hajar al-Ahmar that you have there? It says in the Hadith that this black stone came from paradise and it's going to testify against you on the day of judgment. So this black stone has therefore got consciousness that is going to testify.
Not true. Divine. Actually, our one of our greatest teachers, Omar, he actually looked at the black stone and he said, "You are nothing. You have no value. I would never kiss you if our prophet did not." So the fact that our prophet kissed you, we do not. So in other words, our greatest teachers, our most noble characters made it very clear that these objects have no value of their own. They are nothing. We are only following a discipline. Okay.
Again, that is, look, I know that theological perspective, Adnan. I'm not naive.
But the point I'm making is there is no comparison between the Kaaba and the black stone and Hanuman and let's say Ganesh. Yeah. Because Hanuman has a personality. Hindus worship.
Let me explain. You keep on overriding me with your Islamic perspective.
Okay, go ahead.
My perspective, we call it the science of symbology.
Right.
I know the Kaaba is a symbol. I know that. I know when the Shias put that clay stone there and they bow down to the clay stone, they're not bowing to the clay stone. That is symbolic. I understand the culture of symbolism. And for you, if you want to talk about idolatry, the Quran itself has become a fetish.
No.
The Quran itself, people will kill others because they insulted the Quran. Or even in Bangladesh recently, there was those anti-Hindu riots because it was a Muslim placed the Quran at the feet of the Devi, and 10 people were murdered, and there's all those riots. So the Quran itself has become an idol for some Muslims.
No, Quran, we don't see it that. No, we don't see it that way.
It is seen as a power in itself. There are marriages where
we don't.
Held above.
If you could just come in here for a second.
We don't see the Quran as a physical copy of the Quran has any powers other than the spiritual value it carries. We don't believe the Quran itself is intrinsically powerful.
This is a cultural argument. Right. You have a way of eating. Muslims all sit around one plate and eat. We Hindus find that revolting. We only eat separately. It's not right or wrong. It's how you deal with your food, with your culture, and using symbology. Idols for us are ritual technology. That is all. It's just toys, ritual toys. You've got your toys.
Panditji, let me come in here. Let me sort of.
Wait.
Just clarify one point, please.
I'm just trying to understand. Hanuman, Panditji, Hanuman. Wait. Hanuman, is it just a toy, or is it a real person who has powers to heal and punish? This is what I'm trying to understand. Hanuman or Ganesh, let's say. Yeah.
Hanuman is a symbol of devotion.
Right. He's not real.
Symbol. He is real in terms that devotion is real. Is devotion real or not? Hang on. Answer yes or no.
Okay. Wait.
Is devotion? Suno. Answer me. Is devotion a real force or is it not a real force?
Okay. Devotion, when it's directed to the right.
No, I don't want to just say yes, it is devotion. Real or it's not real.
Devotion is a feeling. Devotion is a feeling which is real. Absolutely.
Is love a real force or not?
Absolutely.
Is hate a real force or not?
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely.
Now, culturally, what Indians have done, because Indians are very imaginative, so they take a force of devotion and we say, how do we interact with this devotion? So what we're going to do, we're going to give it a form, and that form is Hanuman, the love, and he represents the love. The whole of the Ramayana is a story, it's mythology about the soul's search for God and the unification with God. The whole thing is a spiritual epic. It is not history.
So are you saying Hanuman never existed?
Hanuman exists absolutely as the principle of devotion, but not as a monkey flying through the sky.
No, but when you say exist, do you mean like physically existed, or is it just the imagination of people?
He made it clear. He just made it clear.
Let me come back to the point. Yeah. Does devotion exist as a real force or not?
Okay. Let me respond to that very quickly, because when you say devotion, do you mean ibadah?
I see you with all 3 or 4 of you.
No, we are in agreement. It's just clarification is required in order for us to communicate effectively. So when you say devotion, do you mean ibadah?
Devotion, this is not bhakti. Bhakti is different to ibadah.
Okay, so that's why I said we have to clarify, because we might be talking cross purposes. So it's very important for us to get the definitions right. Because earlier you said puja is not ibadah.
No.
Many people would consider puja to be ibadah.
Yes.
Many Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, when they go and do puja, they literally are doing ibadah. And you cannot deny that.
Okay. Well, puja is literally making offerings.
Okay, not only that. No. It's a ritual. It's a ritual of devotion. It's a ritualistic. It's a ritual of a devotion to a deity.
But
you can't deny that.
Hang on.
Can I request not speaking over each other? Can I request?
Let him finish.
Can I request don't speak over each other?
Just let me.
I'm requesting don't speak over each other because audience cannot hear the other person. So one person at a time, please.
Okay,
yes.
Let me answer this. Let me answer this. Now, devotion in Sanskrit is called bhakti. Bhakti comes from the Sanskrit root bhaj, which means to share, to participate in what? In the principle of love. So as I said, we have love at the core of our being, and God is love absolute. So my love, connecting with the love of God, that is sharing in the nature of the divine. So that is the meaning of bhakti. Ibadah is a separation from God and the servant. You are Abdullah, you are the servant of Allah, and you are showing your ibadah, your respect, your devotion, your honor, etc. So and there's
puja?
Always
what about puja? That was my question.
A minute. Yeah. So there's always a separation between the devotee and God in Islam. The two can never meet. In Hinduism, the idea with using a we call it as a pratima, or a bimba is a reflection. So the deity that we use, that icon, is a reflection of our higher nature. And the object of puja is ultimately unification with the divine.
No, not the object, the puja itself. Would you consider puja to be a worship ritual?
The actions themselves.
Okay, the action of puja is something I do to my mom and dad. I worship them. My guru, I do.
But do you also worship? Do you also worship the the object that you bring the offerings to, i.e., the idols?
It is the idol is a qibla. It's a focal point. I want to make an offering, right? I want to express my gratitude to God, and I want to take some water, flowers, incense. I want to offer it. Where do I offer it? I can go to a tree. I can go to a rock. I can go to some object, or I can go to an icon, a beautifully sculptured icon, and make the offerings there. I'm not making it to the stone icon per se. I am making it to the God that is represented. Okay. Like in England, in your offices, people keep pictures of their families at home, at their home, their wife, children. They keep it on their desks. They look at those, and it reminds them of their families. They're not worshiping or honoring or venerating the picture per se. It's just something which reminds them of their loved ones.
No, so but the thing is, in the office, they don't bring food, because you and I know God doesn't require food.
That's a cultural thing, bhai. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
But if it's a cultural thing, because to me, puja, if it's a worship ritual, then you can't call it cultural only. Because now you earlier said that they are not offering it to the idols, they're offering it to God. So the question still, एक minute, बात सुनो पहले. What we are saying is the question still remains. If the offering or the puja thali is not for the idol, and then you said it is for God, then the question still remains that God requires food.
No, it is not. Arey bhai, suno to say.
I'm waiting for that. Go on.
What is puja? See, puja is Shodashopachara, 16 steps. And it is based on the reception of a guest. So if you, Hashim Bhai, come to my house, I will wash your feet. I will wash your feet. I'll give you a seat. I will offer you something to drink. I will offer you food. I will offer, if it's a hot day like in Australia today, I'll give you an opportunity to go and have a shower. All of this is called puja. And then after you have eaten, and then I will take my meal after you are satisfied. So this we call as puja. Now, I want to do that to God. How do I do it? My culture says that I must do this for God. God is transcendent, as we have said. How do I do it? So what I do is I say, okay, I'm going to make a beautiful image that reminds me of God, and I'm going to make my offerings there. Now, God, as we've already said, is omniscient. He knows. So does he not know that I'm making the offerings to him? It's a gesture of gratitude. Is he oblivious of that?
Okay, so basically you're offering food to someone who doesn't eat. Because when you offer me food as a guest, I can understand because I eat food. But what you're doing here is like you're giving sustenance to the one who gives us sustenance. Even symbolically, it doesn't make sense. I'm trying to understand the connection.
I'm trying to
explain God as a guest in your house.
Okay.
Treat him as a God, not as a human.
Can I just come in very quickly? So,
yeah, go on.
So let's just sort of say, because we're getting a little bit heated, so let's sort of just sort of calm down.
Inshallah,
take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, inshallah.
So, Shanti.
Yeah, absolutely. Just take a deep breath very quickly, because we're getting too heated. Because I really want to have a calm conversation here. So let me sort of let me sort of summarize where we've got to. Let me sort of summarize where we've got to. Yeah, I know. We do. Yeah, this has gone. I mean, this has been great, by the way. We do. So let me sort of summarize a couple of things. So first thing, I think I get your point. I really understand that from your perspective, looking at it today, the idol is seen as a way to remember God, not worship directly. And I get this. However, historically, from what we've seen over the ages, I think it is without question, groups, sects, individuals have taken those images and actually worship them. This is the evidence that we've seen over the years. So I just want to say, because that risk is there, that people will do this, this is one of the reasons that kind of worship of any kind is completely forbidden in Islam. So one of the things Islam does is it has a fundamental philosophy, which is prevention is better than cure. So therefore we are told, do not associate partners, do not do anything, don't even go near it, because the risk is too high. Because the risk is too high. So first of all, that's how we do it, that's how you do it. Second thing I would say is, I know you're a yoga expert, and I do remember reading somewhere the idea of bhakti yoga, where, from what I remember in the teaching, you are specifically asked to choose a specific god or goddess, and you then worship that god or goddess through your entire life with your actions, words, and deeds. Now, for me, that is ibadah. I mean, when you say you worship something with actions, words, and deeds, that's ibadah. So what I'd like to clarify is bhakti yoga something specific for a specific area or group or sect, or is it something that you follow and is part of Hinduism? And if it is, then really I'm having a difficult time understanding how puja and this bhakti, which is what you also mentioned, how they differ. Because it's far as we're concerned, that actually aligns with ibadah.
Okay, so first of all, hang on, let me answer structurally. So first of all, you mentioned risk, the risk of worshipping icons. For us, there is no concept of risk, because God is love, and God accepts, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that whatever you offer me with devotion, I accept that offering. And he also says, whatever aspect of divinity you choose to worship, I know that you are worshiping me alone, and I accept your offering and your devotion. All I want is your love. If you show me your love in whatever way it may be, that I will respond to that love. Okay. So for us, there's no, you guys have your Jahannam and Jannat, and if you do this, you'll go to Jannat and Jahannam. We don't have that issue. We don't have that concept, because God is love, and it is all about participating in that divine love. Now, when we take a deity, we call it an Ishta Devata. So, for example, my Ishta Devata is Vishnu. So when I do my daily meditation, I don't do puja per se, because again, it's a structural path. So for simple neophytes, we say use icons. When you go beyond that, we go to the next stage, which is doing japa, which is doing tasbih, recite the names of God. And the final stage and the highest stage is when you give up all of that and you meditate on God within yourself. Now, when you try and meditate on God within yourself, it is very hard to meditate, if you try it, without focusing on something. So you can either use your breath, you use mantra, or you use rupa. So rupa means you choose a form of God that settles your mind, that contains your mind, to which you can relate in love. So for me, that is Vishnu. So I use the form of Vishnu as a focusing device, but that Vishnu is a projection of my own mind for the purpose of focusing my mind. So it's a focal device. That's what it is. Now, I don't argue, I don't dispute that a lot of common Hindus do see these things in their practical terms, because not everybody has got the same level of intelligence and insight and spiritual development. And Hinduism has, over 5,000 years of evolution, evolved different systems of practice for different people. But we always say that this is the first stage. Worshipping of icons and all that ritual puja is on a lower stage. But the highest stage is meditation, and that's where we want to get you. But also, you guys have one life. You've got 80 years in which to do your stuff and get an eternity in Jannat or an eternity in Jahannam. For us, there are thousands and millions of cycles of reincarnation. So we don't have a rush to go anywhere. We're all eventually going to be reunited with God. That is final. Nobody will ever be separated from God in the end. We all return to the source.